So the question, if you couldn't hear, hopefully you're not timing this segment, was what we would do about economic equity for adjunct and contract workers, specifically around, and I'm assuming part of that is actually about medical benefits and other benefits. I am a big fan of making sure that work is paid for regardless of gender. It's important that adjunct and contract faculty, just like everybody else, be paid equitably. It's an overwhelmingly skewed towards women field. Women professors should be making just as much as the men, number one. Number two, the opportunity, particularly this came up in a conversation I had recently around George Mason, part-time professors and contract workers should have the opportunity to buy into the same state system that full-time professors are. And this is partly about medical insurance, but it's also about retirement benefits and the other kinds of benefits. We live in a very education-rich community where lots of people have lots of degrees and lots of people are therefore available to teach. It's important that we treat all of our teachers, regardless of where they're teaching, with value. And so the other piece is making sure that they are properly compensated, and frankly that part-time and contract workers have the opportunity to buy into the program of whatever employer they're working with.
So on the general question of economic equity, you heard how much I would like to raise the minimum wage, particularly in Northern Virginia where things are more expensive and people have a harder time living. And I think it's essential, and I think that would help raise wages across the board. Many of us know that when a Walmart moves into an area, welfare payments go up. It actually costs the government more because they treat their workers so badly with wages and health care that they have to use more public assistance. On the issue of teachers, I studied in Switzerland, I had a Fulbright scholarship there, and when I was there, this was almost 20 years ago, there was a kid that I learned with at university that was going into a beginning teacher profession in 1989 that was earning $50,000 a year. In Europe, they respect teachers. In the rest of the world, Japan, you can name it. We have got to dramatically raise all teacher salaries, not just adjunct professors. Teaching is vitally important to our future.
I certainly agree that people work deserves equal pay, whether you're part-time, full-time, more than full-time. You know, if you are going to work, you should get paid the same amount as your colleague next to you if you're doing the same job. Now, if you're a part-time worker, you should be able to pay into the benefit program that your employer offers. And it shouldn't matter whether you work 20 hours, 25 hours, 35 hours, or what. Everybody should have that opportunity to have the health care that they need, to have the benefits that they require to be able to support their families.
Sure. I think another dimension of the issue that you raised is how our state employees are compensated. And I think that we have to have better compensation for local state employees, including faculty at George Mason and other schools. I think they should be able to also participate in the healthcare system. I also just wanted to speak to how important I think it is to expand economic opportunities here in Northern Virginia and in the state. We have a very highly talented workforce. Many of them work with the federal government or as federal contractors. But when we have sequestration or a budget shutdown, it nearly cripples our economy. And what I like to do is make sure that there are opportunities to bring in clean energy businesses and jobs here, not only for the highly skilled engineers, but also for blue-collar folks, because it takes skills to put solar on rooftops, and those are high-paying jobs.
I agree with all of the equity issues that have been raised by my colleagues here, and I also think that we have to go further and add additional protections for all state workers. Whenever there's a Democratic governor, state employees get more protection, especially a protection on the basis of sexual orientation. Whenever there's a Republican governor, those protections are undone. We need those protections to be enshrined in our state law. I got my Master's of Public Administration at George Mason University, and most of my professors were adjunct faculty, which means they worked in the real world during the day. They took off early from work, they fought beltway traffic, they showed up tired and hungry, they taught our class for 3 hours, and they got paid in some cases about less than one of us was paying to take the class. That's not only bad for the professor, it's also bad for the students. We can't reasonably expect to get the best and brightest faculty with real-time, real-life experience if we hardly pay them anything.